Hey Internet, thanks for watching another episode of LBEB Kitchen. Today we have another historical recipe from the Civil War book that I used last week. Today it's going to be sweet potato pudding. Now, since this recipe is called sweet potato pudding, you can kind of imagine, if you know a little bit about the era, that this would be a pretty uncommon recipe for most soldiers. Mostly officers would get something like this, or maybe soldiers on a very special occasion like a holiday. But when you think about the southern states and their industrial output and agriculture and everything, all of the states combined equal 25% of New York State's output. So this would be non-existent for the South, and for the North you're looking at an officer's special dinner or a holiday. But today I figured I would make this up. It's going to be pretty easy to make, and I think it would go a long way for lifters as well, because as you can see, 6 sweet potatoes, a cup of milk, a cup of sugar, 3 eggs, some lemon, and some cinnamon. That's going to be a pretty good carb source for after you're done training and whatnot. But if you don't want to eat it after training, just eat it with dinner. Today I'm going to eat it with some bread that I'm making and some rabbit stew. So here's what you got to do. Now, depending on who you talk to, these are either going to be called sweet potatoes or yams. Technically, they are yams. I like them more than the white sweet potato because I like the color, a little bit more carotene. Who cares about that, but whatever. I just like the color. So today I'm going to be using yams, but basically the same thing as a sweet potato. So you can use what you like. I'll be using the darker ones. Okay, so step 1, you're going to boil a big pot of water, and you're going to just put the 6 yams or sweet potatoes right into the water. And you're going to boil this for 30 minutes. Put the lid back on. Set your timer for 30 minutes. Okay, well, the sweet potatoes have been cooking for about 30 minutes. They're nice and soft right now. Pretty hot, don't touch them. Once they've been in there for 30 minutes, you're going to drain the water, set it on some hot pads for about 5 to 10 minutes, let them cool a little bit, then we'll move on to step 2. Okay, well, these have cooled for a little bit, so now we're just going to put them in a bowl that's going to be large enough to hold all 6, plus the extra ingredients. 6 in the bowl. You're going to add your 1 cup of milk. And you're just going to mash these up with a potato masher until they're pretty smooth. You can either leave the skins on like I am, or you can peel them once they're boiled. But there are some extra nutrients in the skin, so I'm going to leave those in. Plus, I kind of like the texture of the skin. Like I've said before, I think most things taste best when they're made by hand, when you have to work a little harder to make it. So you could mix this up in a KitchenAid if you want, but I like making it by hand as often as I can. When you're mixing it, if you didn't cut up your potatoes like I did not ahead of time, you may notice some big chunks of skin in there. You can remove those if you want. You don't want to take a bite of the pudding and come out with an entire potato casing in your mouth looking like a fool. So once this is all stirred up and it's pretty smooth, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So 1 cup of sugar, GMO sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 3 eggs, finally some juice from a lemon. Now, another reason why I like using yams instead of sweet potatoes is this amazing color you get out of it. Swap out your potato masher for a big wooden spoon. You're going to mix this up as thoroughly as you can. You want the texture uniformly smooth. You don't want to come across a large chunk of yam in here. This needs to be a pudding. So make sure it's nice and smooth. Flatten out any big chunks you come across. Okay, once you've beaten this mixture to a nice smooth consistency, we're just going to pour it in a nice baking pan. Now, to top this off, I'm just going to add a little bit of ground nutmeg to the top for some extra pizzazz. Okay, it's cooked for 30 minutes. Let's take it out and take a look. Came out looking lovely. All right, let's try it out. Some people have asked why I do Civil War recipes specifically, and one of my favorite historians, Shelby Foote, said, if you want to understand the mindset of Americans, both North and South, you need to have a firm grasp of the Civil War, what caused it, what happened, the outcome. And that doesn't just mean the military aspect, it means the food they ate, the wares that were sold, the mindset of the soldiers. So, in my opinion, it starts with food. An army marches on its belly, And if you want to understand everything about the Civil War, you need to understand what they ate. So, this is sweet potato pudding on LBEB Kitchen. Catch you next time.